Alex, thanks for talking to us. You're getting ready for your final training session, of course, before you're off again for your second long trip of the week. How important is it that you get your preparation, your planning, your timing right for the players?
Yeah, it's a different week in terms of you don't very often get two away games on the spin, do you? Normally you alternate in terms of fixtures home and away. And particularly we've had two fixtures where they're quite a distance away, so they're both overnighters. So we've had to manage the week completely different this week. It's been more of an empty week, certainly out on the grass. The players that played on Tuesday haven't really seen the grass until today, which is obviously Friday, because of that. So we'll get a lot of work into them today tactically, and also mentality-wise going into tomorrow's game. So the Friday will look no different to a regular Friday leading into a Saturday, and then we'll travel down this afternoon.
The modern-day footballer, though, will know exactly how to sort of get themselves ready, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, footballers are used to that treadmill, aren't they, of Saturday, Tuesday. And it won't be the first time many of them will have had two away games in close proximity, so it's nothing new. And we're in the same boat as everybody else. You have to navigate over these different hurdles and barriers and challenges that you're given throughout the season if you're going to be successful.
I know you've got a few hours to go before you actually have to name that team. What is the update on Courtney Baker-Richardson? We did speak, didn't we, about after the game in the week down at Wimbledon. He looked to be in some discomfort. Where are you with that now, a couple of days on?
We won't know till tomorrow morning with him. The truth is he won't train today. He's not in a position where he can train today, so it's looking more unlikely than likely that he's going to be certainly starting. So the medical team will get to work on him today, or continue to get to work on him today. He's had a lot of intense therapy and treatment over the last couple of days. And as I say, that decision on him can't really be made till tomorrow morning. That'll go down to the wire.
You brought us brighter news after the game as well about where Charlie Colker and Chris Long are. Where are they? Can you expand on that a little bit and where their schedule is up to, what you're wanting and when you expect them back?
Yeah, Charlie's slightly ahead of Chris Long in terms of recovery, probably only a couple of days ahead of him. We're hopeful that we could get at least one of those two in contention for the bench against Leyton Orient, but the more likely proximity for the next fixture for them will be the one that follows, which is Colchester the week after, I think, isn't it? So we'll push hard to try and get them in a position to be available for next week, but it's looking likely that the next league fixture will be the one that they're available for.
You'll hope between now and then that nothing else happens in terms of injuries. At least you want them back and added to the squad. You don't want to be losing any more. You had your fair share, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, potentially 6 starters won't be available for the game against Barrow tomorrow. But luckily, of those 6 starters, 4 of them are going to be hopefully short-term, real short-term in terms of their return times. Whereas Callum's a bit further away and Rodney's sort of somewhere in between the two. So, yeah, that's football. You have to deal with anything that comes your way. You can't do anything about it, and you look for different solutions and you try and be as creative as you can in terms of putting a team out that's going to win the game.
Well, recently you changed your system as well, and personnel's changed a little bit with injuries or whatever. You decided to change that personnel. How do you feel it's working?
I think we're getting far more entries into the attacking third of the pitch. I think it was really pleasing against Doncaster, and it was much improved second half, certainly against Wimbledon. So it's given us things that we weren't getting with the previous system. Obviously, it's leaving the game more open, which we knew was going to happen, and it's something we're willing to take the hit with if it's going to give us, obviously, greater attacking threat. Obviously, all the stats have pointed towards us being far more of an attacking threat once we switch to this system, which is what we hope from it. But from that, we've obviously got to take more of the chances that we created. Certainly, that was case in point against Doncaster. And we missed some good late opportunities on against Wimbledon, didn't we, the other night? So pleased with aspects of it, but it's work in progress.
Nobody can knock the application that Masala Sambu puts into the team, whether he gets a start or whether he gets a call from the substitutes bench. But probably the best 45 minutes he's had came up on Tuesday night. What does he gain from that, and what are you telling him now?
He'll gain confidence from it, and the team will certainly, if he continues to play like that, have much more control in games, because obviously when the opposition get after you, sometimes you can't play into your midfielders. So that means you can clip it into your forwards, and then when you're doing that, you're relying on them tucking the ball in and allowing us to get support in and around him, and he did that really well the other night. Added to that, he threatened him behind as well. So he showed us that he can obviously face up and keep the ball and also run in behind and stretch the game. He knows he's got to add the goals to it, and if he does add the goals to it, then he can become an all-round complete forward in this league. But that's the key, him just having a great sense of composure and belief in the box, and obviously with regard to that, that'll certainly help the team because we're lacking goals, and we need obviously our number 9s and wide players and attacking midfielders to contribute in that sense.
Just looking at Barrow, 2 ex-Crew players, 2 ex-Crew Academy players in Billy Waters and George Ray are in that team. They've come back in the Football League for a couple of seasons now. They're pretty good, aren't they, at the moment, in terms of how they've started? You know, is that what you're expecting? That type of team, a tough team who's got a bit of form behind them? Yeah,
funny enough, I bumped into their manager at St George's Park the other day and we had a chat. That was in advance of their game the other night. And they had a pretty poor spell by their standards, didn't they, leading into the Gillingham game last Saturday. They lost quite a few on the trot, which would have been disappointing for them because they've had a fantastic start to the season, but they picked up again in terms of 4 points from the last 2 games. So they'll be riding high into the game, and we know what it's going to look like at Barrow. We've watched every game of every opposition playing at Barrow this season, and they're always tough games, frantic games, competitive games, and they bring a lot of energy and atmosphere to any game that they play in, particularly up at Holker Street. So we're going to have to be really strong in terms of the mentality defensively, but also we've got to bring our A game attacking wise so that we can go on and gain the 3 points.
You've got the most draws in the league, 7.
That doesn't surprise me, I didn't know that, but
they've got the least draws in the league, 1.
Yeah.
You're coming together, surely it can't be a draw.
No, well I hope not. I only hope it's a draw, obviously, if it's at the, at the expense of us not being quite able to win the game, but I certainly hope it's not a draw. We need to win a game of football to try and give the boys that kick on that they need. It's so frustrating at the minute in terms of we're getting to the finish line in games but not stepping over it. There's that barrier there, and once we break that barrier, I'm certain that the confidence that win will give the boys will allow them to push on and gain further wins and bring some positive momentum moving forward, because whilst obviously the things are positive to take from drawing games of football, it's certainly not something you step into any game wanting to do to draw. The whole point for a supporter, for a player, for a manager, for you guys in the media is to come and watch us win games of football. That gives everybody that sense of euphoria, isn't it? So we're aiming to try and do that this weekend.
We just want to round it up again. I know we bring them up quite a lot, but I think they deserve to be brought up because the fans, over 230 or 240 over there in midweek, and a great following expected at Barrow. You can't knock the behind the players. I
couldn't believe how many we took to Wimbledon. I was so surprised on a Tuesday night, difficult place to get to, middle of London. We were shocked by how many were there, and the vocal support that they gave us throughout the game was brilliant. They stuck with us, and to a man and woman, boy and girl, they all stayed behind to clap us off at the end. They obviously appreciated the response in the second half, and they've been immense for us in terms of their away followings, and I believe we're going to be taking well in excess of 500-600 at least up to Barrow, which is again another long journey for them. So we really do appreciate it, and it's important that we reward them.